Are you looking to learn the basics of film photography? Maybe you want to try it as a hobby, or you're about to go on vacation and you want to give it a spin there. Maybe you even want to incorporate it into your already existing photography business. This video is for you. I'm going to be breaking down the basics of film photography, how to use the camera, going over the settings, even how to load and unroll the film. I've been doing digital photography for 12 years now. I live in New York City as a full-time professional photographer, and I started learning how to shoot on film last spring. It's been about 1 year, and I was taught in a very simple way by a friend, and I have been teaching a few of my friends how to shoot on film. I've done quite a few film photography tutorials here on YouTube, whether it is bringing you behind the scenes on a shoot or a video on how I get my film developed and scanned, how to edit the film. I have so many free resources, but I realized that I haven't created one just on the very basics. I wanted to create a video that hopefully is not only informative but a little bit refreshing. I do teach photography in my own online course, and I've taught it one-on-one. I've done workshops all around the globe with photography. So I hope I can bring my teaching style with digital photography into this film realm, which is a little bit more intimidating and seems very technical, but I think that we can add a fun spin on it because film isn't as scary as it seems, especially when you take out the entire factor of developing it. Like I said, I learned how to shoot on film by a friend in a really basic, easy to understand way, and I've been teaching my friends how to shoot on film. I figured the best way to teach you guys is through teaching one of my subscribers when I was visiting family in Seattle, and I was able to teach her everything that she needs to know about using her film camera and shooting on it while also recording that process. So I hope this feels like you are coming along on the session with us. It may be a little bit more interactive. Hopefully it's a little bit more interesting than me just sitting here and explaining all the bland technical aspects. I think it will just refresh the learning process for you guys. Before we get started, I do want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an incredible online learning platform. It's affordable, easy to use, and there's thousands of classes in art, photography, business, design, and beyond. If there's an area in your business that you want to brush up on, such as for me it'd be graphic design, I think it's a great alternative to taking a community college class, specifically when it comes to graphic design or even other areas in your business that you as an entrepreneur have to navigate through. I think Skillshare can be an excellent alternative to something like a community college class. Now, I still went to college. I want to clarify it doesn't replace college education, but for me, when it comes to brushing up on skills or even finding out a new hobby that I might be curious in, such as calligraphy, it is an incredible resource. Premium membership gives you unlimited access to all of the classes available on their platform, and all of the classes are in video format, which we love here on YouTube. The annual subscription for Skillshare is less than $10 a month. Here on my YouTube channel, I'm always teaching and really trying to bring you as much value as possible, but my knowledge can only go so far. I'm not an expert in graphic design or finance, even some areas of marketing. I just don't have all of the answers, but Skillshare is the place to be if you really value these kind of tutorials and contents to move the needle in your business forward. Check out Skillshare. You guys know I'm gonna hook you up with a great free trial. This one is 2 months of free premium access to the first 500 people who click the link down below in the description box. I wanna have a little disclaimer before we get into this video, especially for those who are new to my channel. Maybe you're more of a veteran in photography. You went to school for photography and you know the ins and outs of a camera, all the technical terms. Just keep in mind, this is how I learned how to shoot on a basic 35mm film camera. It's what I use and what I love. And this video isn't meant to be an instruction manual, super technical and specific. It's to just give a launching point to those who are interested in this wonderful world of film photography. I'm not a huge technical person. I'm not even a big gear person. I have a few lenses and a body that I love. So just keep that in mind when you're watching. And if you have anything negative to say about me or the style of teaching that I do, this video, this whole channel probably isn't for you. But if you are a beginner and you're looking for a space that is inclusive, easy to understand, and really breaking down everything about photography, not just film, but throughout my other videos in a step-by-step, easy to digest way, this channel is perfect for you. And be sure to subscribe down below. You guys subscribing enables me to be able to continue to create free tutorials on a weekly basis. I love being able to bless your business. I share so many resources and tools that other photographers just keep to themselves, which is totally fine, and I really do respect that. But a way I'm able to share openly is through the support of subscribing. It takes you 30 seconds and it blesses me so much. And if you love this video, take an extra 20 seconds to comment down below. You don't have any idea how much this helps these kind of videos move forward. So if you want to see more of these kind of tutorials, be sure to subscribe. Without any further ado, I am so excited to hop into this photography tutorial. It's pretty in-depth, it's a little bit longer, but it's full of information that I hope blesses your business. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and let's hop into it. We are here with
Pika.
Pika! Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes,
I'm so excited. When did you start doing photography, and also what is your favorite thing to capture with photography?
So I started photography about 2.5, maybe 3 months ago.
Months.
Yeah.
You were so good though. I was scrolling through your Instagram and I was like, whoa, I did not realize that you had only been doing it for like 90 days. That's insane.
My heart, thank you so much. But I love doing like portraits and like editorial stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of things for my church too, so yeah.
That's so awesome. What makes you want to learn film photography just for you personally? I saw on Instagram some people wanted to do it through, because I asked you guys on Instagram, for like a better understanding of how photography just works, like how the technicalities behind operating the camera. Some people wanted it just because they like the look of film, like the colors or the vintage feel, maybe a bit of the grain, and then others wanted to implement it into like wedding work. So what kind of draws you to film photography?
I just love the vintage look of it, and I think doing it like an editorial type of shoots would be just like something that many people aren't doing right now, and then it just like pushes you to be a better photographer. You
have to be more intentional about every shot, and I do think, especially if you want to do portraits with film, it can look amazing and gorgeous, and seriously like unlike anything on digital. So I'm really excited to teach you. Okay, so you have the Minolta X370 camera, as do I. We are twins, and the 50mm 1.7 Minolta lens. So on your digital camera, what lens do you mostly shoot with?
I shoot with a 50 and then with an 85 right now.
Okay, cool. If you're out there and you need to purchase a film camera, you don't know what lens to go with, I think that the 50 is just a great standard option. Basically, I'm going to be explaining this in like the most basic ways, broken down, and also this is how I personally was taught. I needed it broken down in the most simple way because I was so overwhelmed with this whole new medium. So for those watching and for you today, it's going to be really simple and basic. And please, any question that you have, even if you think it's like a dumb question, there's no dumb questions, and people at home probably still have that same question too. So I'm going to teach you how to unroll and load the film in a minute, but we'll learn how to unroll it at the very end. But first are just the settings, and it's literally so simple. So one thing I love about this particular camera, and all of this will be written down below for you guys, the model of the camera and stuff, but is that it has an automated light meter inside. So whenever you are buying film, what film do you have with you today?
I brought Portra 160.
Oh my gosh, perfect. Are you literally the most smart person on earth?
I did research.
You are
I was like, which one do I need to get?
Oh my gosh, literally so good. Okay, so I have Portra 400.
Yes.
So we have basically the same, it's just different ISOs, but actually, since it's so sunny out, the 160 is gonna be much better for this. So you are literally a genius. Queen, we stand, we stand. We're in Seattle right now where usually it's overcast, and Portra 400 is great, but in this sunny day, you're gonna kill it with the 160.
Yes.
So the great thing about this particular camera, and also I think that Canon has like an AE1 that also has an automated light meter, is that it just kind of takes away one more element to worry about, because there's 3 settings: the ISO, the f-stop, and then also the shutter speed. When we have the film, the ISO is already predetermined for us by 400 ISO, 160 ISO, so that's one setting we don't even need to worry about. Whereas on our digital, we would have to like set all 3.
Yeah.
But this, we take out that ISO factor. So then the next thing is the automated light meter inside, which I mentioned out of order on accident a little bit ago. But the automated light meter inside is going to, as long as your camera fully works, which you thankfully looked into it. So if you're pulling out a camera from maybe like your parents' storage or something, or got it passed on, you will really want to experiment around with the first roll of film that you use. But usually if you buy a camera like on keh.com, which is where I got mine, they check it for you. So our automated light meters do work, but that is just going to tell you in the most basic way that I can explain possible what to set your shutter speed on, which is so nice. And it might give you like 2 different options. Sometimes if I look through, it might say 125 or 250. There'll be a little red line that lights up, and then you can choose. When I first started on my first few rolls, I would just do 2 shots and do like, okay, the first one I'm gonna do 125, next I'm gonna do 250, to kind of test out where my light meter really was at with my particular camera. Even though you tested light meter and made sure that it works, sometimes they still are a little bit particular. If it always gives you those 2 options, which usually it does, I will usually do the higher shutter speed, just because I would rather have a little bit more like shadow and it to be a little bit darker than blown out, where I can't save the highlights later in post-processing. So that takes away the other elements. So we have ISOs taken care of and the shutter speed. The only thing you really have to worry about, like honestly, is the f-stop, the aperture. So I would say if you are wanting to play around, I would encourage you to do that within the first few rolls that you're shooting. And what you can do though, if you want to like keep track, let's say you're going to do a variety of different settings, you can write down each shot in your notes app. So you would write shot 1, write all your settings, do that, take it, and kind of move through until you have exposures done. Or what I personally did my first portrait session is I kind of just stayed within f-stop 4.0 and then down to 1.7, and then I could kind of tell like in post when I was looking later, oh, this was at 1.7, this was at 4. It's a little bit harder to distinguish between like 2.5 versus 3, but then you have a bit of a range and you can kind of see, okay, my focus is really, really hard to get super sharp at 1.7 with my lens. So now I know maybe I'll do 2 shots at the next shoot if I want to shoot that wide open. With portraits, at least for me as a portrait photographer, and you might find this too, you shoot as wide open as you can because you want all that blur in it to be compressed. But I would encourage you to shoot some a little bit more, like 4, 5.6, just to see later how you will be able to capture more detail, but it doesn't look like this like iPhone digital image. It will have a lot of detail and be a little bit more rich. So for this session today, and we're going to use Anya as our model, I would encourage you to kind of experiment around with a few different settings. And then we'll also, since we have like the forest backdrop and we have a couple different more nature-y backdrops, you can see how it looks at like 11, and it's not as complicated as we think. And if you just take away the whole aspect about developing it away, because you can, I'll have a video linked down below for like how to get your images on to the Instagram, essentially, like online in digital files. You don't have to have your own darkroom and develop it yourself. You can take it somewhere, and I'll have the details for how to do that down below. But using the camera itself is pretty simple. Then it's going to be how to load and unload the film. I will help you with loading your film up. the on and off button, because this camera will still seem like it's shooting photos even if it's off. So just to make sure it's just on this camera, and probably for most it's kind of similar, that's on. To load the film, I'm so excited. Are you so stoked?
I'm so excited.
What you do on the Minolta, you have this top bit, and this is the part where I was saying like this piece will like rip off, so just careful. So this is what we use to like open the back of the camera, but in order to open it, there's a button on the bottom, and we can press, and do you have film in here?
No.
Okay, so we press this, and then this is what's going to allow us to pop it fully open. Like it's almost like a safety button. So as you guys can see here, and then you are gonna lift this up. So I'm gonna have you do that. I'm gonna undo, the button will undo itself when you open it up. So, and you don't have to have the camera on or off.
Do you wanna hold my film? Cool.
So yeah, just lift it straight up. Perfect. So then the back opens. Oh my gosh, you're such a pro. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, I'm so excited. Okay, so then the next step, I'll have you do this, but I'm gonna show you first, and then you're gonna be the one to like do it. Yeah. So sometimes, and we want this whenever we're loading it to be as far up as possible, which it looks like it is. Okay, cool. You want to load the film where the strip is going into the camera. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't even know. Oh, there we go. You just feed it and to fit it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, which way? Literally, if I'm in a rush, I'm like with the model, like, I don't know which way to do it. Do in a moment. I won't do it yet, but you're basically going to, these will match up into these grooves. And then what you're going to do is you don't want to pull it further past this, but you do want to pull it so that we can just put the very end into one of those. Yeah. And sometimes if you feel like you pulled a little bit too much out, there is a way to still kind of finesse it a little bit further in this, but you might lose one shot because it might be a bit uneven, if that makes sense, but you'll be okay though. And if you're shooting and you're like, this is so complicated, just take your time, because I had a hard time loading film for like the first 3 or 4 rolls, and I would forget too, because there'd be so much time between like loading it. So I think that a big key too is practice when you're doing your first few rolls of film. Do like 3 in a week span, just so you get that muscle memory almost, because I would forget. I'd be like, oh man, and now I'm on a shoot and someone's watching and I'm like I don't know how to do it. So let's do this fully from the top. Okay, yay. Okay, you can do it. I believe in you.
The button.
And bring that up. Yep. Gosh, yes. Okay, and then here's the film.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, you're doing so amazing. You're doing so good.
Okay.
This is so fun.
This is one. Okay, cool.
Yeah, perfect. Yep. And then you feed it into the little, you just want to match it up a little bit. Yep. Oh my gosh, you're doing so good.
Okay,
gosh, queen.
Matched up.
Okay, and then, oh my gosh, did you even get in there?
Yeah.
And I guess it naturally just falls in there. You are a pro. Are you joking me right now? Oh my gosh, you're so good. Okay, so then you're gonna close the back of the canister, or I don't even know that's what it's called, the back of it. And then you're going to pop that down. Yep. And then what you're gonna do, so you can just pull this back fully.
Okay.
Oh, and sometimes if you feel like it's too hard to do that, just click the shutter. Oh, we're off, that's why. Okay, now try to do it, let's see. Do the shutter. Okay, now try to reel it back. Let's see.
There
Perfect, yes.
Cool.
So now we are on the first shot. See how there is this little number? This is gonna be where you wanna set the ISO by pressing this down. So we are on like 160. Yeah. Okay, so now you learned.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So now we're gonna do some portraits with it. It's so exciting.
I'm so excited.
You got the loading the film for me was like the hardest part, just sensory wise, because I was, okay, this is something I have to like manually be doing. I don't want to mess it up. I'm like nervous that somehow it's gonna come unrolled, but you killed it.
Yes.
And so if you can do that, unrolling is gonna be so easy.
Perfect.
We're going to begin and do some portraits. I'm gonna be videographer now, and Anya is gonna be our wonderful model. And since you are a portrait photographer, and this isn't a tutorial on like how to shoot portraits, we're not gonna be going over poses, just some different lighting situations for you to try out. Oh, that's cute, yes. Literally my queen. And maybe for this, try shooting on a different f-stop. Or I mean, a different f-stop.
We're right now. Let's go down to 2.8.
Okay, cool.
See what that looks like.
Oh my gosh, Anya, you are so pretty. Are you even kidding me right now?
killing it.
Really glowing queen.
Let me bring it down one more f-stop to 1.7 so you can have a mixture of things.
Okay, cool. I love 1.72 with like backlighting. I think it can be super pretty. Your first few shots,
yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm super excited. My model was killing it. It's just like, I feel like you're more intentional with your shots rather than just like taking like 500 and just like, I hope one of these works. Like,
yes.
I have to pose her correctly and I have to like make sure I'm doing the correct just stuff on here.
Yeah.
So I can get like that perfect shot.
Yes. When you're shooting with the rolls of film, you want to make sure that we know how many photos are actually in there.
Yeah.
So it will say on the box or on the roll, it will say 24 exposures. So how we can keep track of that is we just use this little, and I'll insert a closer up clip for you guys. You will just use that. The number. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so if this, I mean, now it works. But if it doesn't go like this, does that mean I haven't done that?
Yes.
Okay,
and if you have a hard time pulling it back, then do the shutter. So like
if it won't click, pull this back. Is that what you're saying?
And then if it doesn't pull back, then click.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, the focusing is off. That was my fault. I forgot to mention how to focus the camera, but she nailed the exposure, the composition. She nailed all of the settings, which are pretty hard for some people to do, especially on their first session. And we did a lot of lighting variations. We did direct sunlight, we did some shades, some backlit shots, and she killed it. So if you see that the shots are out of focus, that was my fault, but it is pretty easy to focus, especially on the Minolta. All you have to do is you'll look through, you'll see a little circle in the middle that goes in and out of focus as you adjust the ring. You just want to make sure that that little circle is on the subject's face or whatever you want to be in focus, and then focus it like a manual focus. And you don't have to have the subject be in the middle where you see that ring, but as long as you can first go through, make it in focus, and then adjust, you'll be totally fine. I want to make that as a disclaimer because I know y'all are going to be like, what? Anyway, back to the video. Okay, so we are going to unroll the film. The one biggest thing is we never want any light to ever hit it.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, you have to open this up when you don't have it unrolled. Go into like a bathroom where there's no windows.
Okay.
Make sure it's dark, and then you can like do whatever you need to do. So in order to protect it, we always want to like have our hands. This is the side that it opens with. So we want to like kind of just hold that down.
Okay.
Just like for safety.
Yeah.
So then we can have it on or off. We'll do on.
Yeah.
Because I think you might actually need to have it on, if I remember correctly. Okay, so you hold this down, and then you are going to just pop this out. And you'll notice how there's this little arrow on it. This is the way, and see this cute little thing? So cute. You're going to use this to like twist it. And then in the camera, the science behind it is the twisting is wrapping the roll up.
Okay.
I'm gonna show them one more time. Yeah. So it is gonna be this. Just for one more little lesson. This arrow, and you're gonna turn it that way. You don't have to lift anything. Okay, and then you just wanna make sure though that you have this, because by the time you get to the end of the roll, then this will automatically pop up. Yes.
That makes sense. Okay, cool.
So you can do it. Just, yep, and you'll hear it. Oh, what is that? Try one more time. Oh, you know what? Let's try the button. We can like troubleshoot it. There you go. Okay, it's the button. So the button on the bottom that we use to pop the thing up, you want to make sure you click that. So just troubleshoot it. Like if you haven't done, like if it's been a few weeks between each roll, and when you're first learning, forget like exact the step by step. So just always stay calm and just try to troubleshoot.
Just freaks out.
That's perfect. I'm gonna get a little too. And
let me just,
you can go as slow, and you want to actually try not to let this go, just because we don't want any of the film to like retract on accident. It's not the end of the world, but just for, and then you're gonna twist it, and you could even go a little bit faster if you want.
I feel like it's like...
Now is it kind of loose?
Yeah.
You're going to use this to pop this up, and then kind of like how when we loaded the film, you're going to pull it all the way up so that the back opens. And we can even just give it a little peek. Let's give it a tiny... Okay, so open it up.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you did so good.
I did it, you guys.
Oh my gosh, you are so amazing. You did so good, your first roll of film.
Yes.
Okay, so now you can, you're going to just lift this. Like you should be able to kind of, oh yeah, you can lift it just out. Perfect. Here, I'll let you do that. Okay, so just pull it out.
You know, maybe it was probably better you doing it. I have huge nails.
You can even dump the camera over.
That's
just
easier.
One thing though, careful, you don't really want to ever touch this. So this you don't want to touch. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I have when I'm like taking it out.
Just
I'll like put my thumb there in accident.
Yeah.
This is like the sensor, so you don't want to touch that or this. It's not the end of the world, but just try to. Yeah. And then you can close this up. You can pop that down, and then show them their film. Amazing! The one that isn't used has a little tail. The one that is used just doesn't have one. Thank you so much for coming out. I hope that you learned something. I hope you did. Yes. You're gonna do so good. All right, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope I was able to break down how to use a film camera in an easy way. And I hope that it brings you some inspiration to get started. If you guys want to check out any of my other film photography videos, I'll have them linked down in the description box below. And I also have a secret coupon code for my online photography workshop for those who made it this far in the video. Don't forget to grab your free trial with Skillshare. It's also linked in the description box below. And let me know in a comment if you have ever tried film photography, and if you haven't, what is holding you back. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more photography tutorials and videos. This helps me to continue to create free ones on a weekly basis. I love you guys. I'll see you in my next video.